Trusting God when life makes no sense. When the world around us spins wildly and we find ourselves lost in the chaos, the question arises, how do we trust God when life makes no sense? In the midst of unanswered prayers, shattered dreams, and painful circumstances, it's easy to question everything we once believed. Yet in times like these, God calls us to trust, not in the clarity of our situation, but in His faithfulness. Consider the story of Joseph. He was a young man with dreams of greatness, a bright future ahead, but his brothers, consumed by jealousy, sold him into slavery. What would you do if everything you believed about your future was suddenly ripped away? How would you react if the life you envisioned was dashed in an instant? Joseph's life, it seemed, was falling apart. Yet, through all of it, God was working. In Genesis 39, even though Joseph was sold into slavery in Egypt, the Lord was with him. His circumstances were anything but favorable, yet the Bible tells us that the Lord was with Joseph so that he prospered. Genesis 39, verse 2. When Joseph was wrongfully imprisoned, he must have wondered how God could possibly be present in such suffering. But even in prison, God's hand was upon him. The Lord granted him favor, and he rose to a position of authority. Looking back, we can see that God was not absent in Joseph's darkest moments. In fact, those trials were part of His plan to position Joseph for the moment when he would save an entire nation. It's a powerful reminder that just because we don't understand the twists and turns in our lives, it doesn't mean God isn't working. Sometimes the path we are on doesn't make sense in the moment, but God is still in control. Proverbs 3:5-6 speaks directly to this. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight. It doesn't say trust God when it makes sense. It says trust in the Lord with all your heart, even when you don't have the answers. In our moments of doubt, it's important to remember that God's understanding far surpasses ours. Isaiah 55:8-9 reminds us, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." God's plan is bigger than we can comprehend, and His timeline isn't ours. The delays and detours we experience are often part of a bigger picture, one that we may not see until much later. But rest assured, He is always at work. Take the story of Job, a man who faced unimaginable loss. He lost his wealth, his health, and his family. All around him there was nothing but devastation. His friends, convinced he had done something to deserve such suffering, gave him no comfort but only blamed him. Job's cries echoed through the heavens. Why? He questioned God's justice and wondered how it all fit into God's plan. Yet in Job 42:2, Job eventually acknowledged something profound. "I know that you can do all things. No purpose of yours can be thwarted." Job, despite his suffering and confusion, learned to trust in God's sovereign plan. Sometimes we find ourselves in situations where everything seems to be falling apart, and we may feel as though God has abandoned us. But even in those moments of apparent silence, God is still present. Psalm 34:18 offers comfort. "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." When life makes no sense, God is especially near. His presence is not bound by our understanding or the circumstances we face. The truth is, our faith isn't built on understanding all the answers, but on knowing the character of God. Who is He? He is good. He is faithful. He is just. And He loves us with an everlasting love. When we struggle, we can look to His Word and be reminded of His promises. In Romans 8:28, we are assured, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. It may not seem good in the moment, but God is working in ways that we cannot see. We may not understand it all, but we can trust that He will bring good out of our trials. Jesus Himself experienced moments when things didn't make sense. The night before His crucifixion, He prayed in the garden, asking God if there was another way. His soul was overwhelmed with sorrow. In His humanity, He could not fathom the suffering ahead, but in that moment, He chose trust. "Not my will, but yours be done." Luke 22:42. Even as He faced betrayal, abandonment, and a painful death, Jesus trusted in His Father's plan. His example calls us to do the same when life doesn't make sense. Trusting God isn't about knowing all the answers or having a clear path ahead. It's about surrendering our will to His and choosing to believe that He is good, even when everything around us seems wrong. When life is confusing and we are tempted to doubt, let us remember the promises of Scripture. Let us hold fast to the truth that God is near, that He is faithful, and that He is working, even when we cannot see it. Trusting God in these moments requires a deep, unwavering faith, a faith that acknowledges our limits and embraces His infinite wisdom. As we walk through the valleys of life, let us declare like David in Psalm 23:4, "Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me." God is with us in the darkness, in the confusion, in the pain, and one day when we stand before Him, we will see the bigger picture, the tapestry of His plan that we couldn't understand in the moment, but that was being woven together with perfect love. So trust in God's goodness, trust in His timing, trust that He sees what we cannot, and when life makes no sense, hold on to the one who holds it all together.